of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so we're going to approve the minutes of our last regular board meeting on July 15th and a special one from August 12th.
I have a correction. I'm sorry.
No. What?
Oh, I thought I was out of order, sir.
No.
That's, I never know. It seems like I'm always out of order. I just have one correction. Down there under the treasurer's report, we said our meeting was scheduled for August the 20th. The PC Commission was August the 20th. Is scheduled for August the 20th. We're the 19th, which is today, and we're all here.
Tony, is your microphone working?
No. I turned it on.
Oh.
There you go.
Turned it off. Oh, okay. So, did you hear, Jeff?
I heard. I just didn't know if some of the people out there.
We are going to amend the minutes before we accept them. Under the treasurer's report, our next scheduled meeting in the minutes it says August 20th. It's not August 20th, it's August 19th. It's today. So I move that we accept the minutes from the special meeting and the regular meeting as amended.
Second.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Supervisor remarks. So, I guess some people got the memo tonight is not a road meeting. We're going to try to do another special meeting for that, since we get everybody together. And for anyone who's out there, I did hear, I've heard some rumors that we passed something, and we did not pass anything yet. So I guess I'll just leave it at that. We have not gotten to basically the second half of the proposed ordinance yet, or the draft from the focus group. So with that, I think we're ready to go to the next thing. Approve agenda. That's presented. So I have one question about this personally. So Shri, did you want to pull out the parks one? Because weren't you going to tell us about the grant or whatever? Or do you not need to do that right now?
The Parks Rec meeting,
Yeah.
what happened at the last meeting?
Or for the 20, the matching fund. Okay, so I would like to amend the agenda to pull out number 9 of the park committee minutes and just, I guess, stick it as D in the action items. So, okay. Are there any other changes anyone wants to make, or? Okay. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
So moved. Second.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right. So, call to the public. Okay. Call to the public. Everybody, yeah.
Kay Strumler, 8255 Heron River Drive. So I'm speaking to you tonight as an individual planning commissioner. So tonight you have a proposal to modify floor plan area ratios for non-conforming lots and temporary structures. It's identified as 10C on your agenda, and it's identified as 25 ZTA 02. So most of the proposed ordinance revisions have been agreed upon through detailed discussion with the Planning Commission. But there's one additional change presented here, proposed here, that has not been discussed with the Planning Commission. On page 3 of 3 of the introductory document to the board, there's a proposal to increase the FAR limits for all R1 lots from 20 to 30%. I do not agree with this. The document also states that FAR for R1 should be the same or higher for non-conforming lots. I disagree with this. It also says that this change is consistent with the PC discussion, and I disagree with this. So just briefly, what is FAR? It's floor area ratios, and this and lot coverage are often used in Michigan zoning ordinances to control the density and impact of development in rural areas. FAR regulates floor space, and lot coverage focuses on the percentage of the lot covered. So FAR is often also used with other regulations like building height restrictions and setback requirements. And the overall goal is to manage the scale and impact of development. So by limiting FAR and lot coverage, zoning regulations can prevent excess building or excess or sudden population increases and ensure adequate infrastructure. So in Webster, maintaining low density is critical to ensuring that our infrastructure, whether it's the roads, the groundwater, or the natural features that we have for stormwater management, are not overwhelmed by human density and use. Therefore, I do not support increasing R1 FAR across the board, thereby allowing and encouraging increases in density. I think that this is not a small change. I think that increasing density in this way is not consistent with our master plan goals. I think that inviting everyone in the district to increase density is totally different than trying to provide some relief for non-conforming structures. The PC discussion we had talked about, because of the potential impacts on density, that any further discussion of FAR should occur during a master plan process, which we have not initiated yet. So I expressed my concern about moving forward to the board with something that had not been discussed by the Planning Commission, and I was advised that the board can make a decision, hence my statement today and my request. My request is that unless the board feels particularly knowledgeable about FAR and its role in keeping rural densities low, I request that either that this zoning ordinance amendment be sent back to the Planning Commission to talk about that extra point, or that only the revisions recommended by the Planning Commission, because they were discussed by the Planning Commission, be considered tonight, which would mean the R1 proposal to change it from 20 to 30% would not be considered. So thank you.
Thanks, Kate.
Good evening, Peter Stevens, 7500 Trotters Lane. Just a quick comment, since the special meeting on the roads, I've had a lot of discussions with a lot of different people that live on the private roads in our township, and what I've mostly heard is that they're, one, not quite sure what all of this road ordinance is entailing, but almost everybody said that they wish they had an opportunity to sit in front of the board and be able to ask questions about what this ordinance is and what it would mean for them in a town hall type setting. I would ask that the board tonight, when you're considering your discussion action item number B, or letter B, priority special meeting, you also maybe include a discussion on whether this board would entertain a town hall type of meeting for residents to be able to ask questions about this private road ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. Comments of board members.
Yeah, I have one comment. The last general meeting that we had, there were some concerns about the Walsh Road grading, because there was some flooding on one of the property owners, and discussion about how the road commission reacted to it. I said I would follow up on that. I did. I talked to Adam Lake with regards regards to that, and they had followed up on multiple levels with the property owner, and even met out there with them to show them some of the stuff that they could do to remedy that. So there was follow-up. I don't know what, we talked about the initial interaction that happened there, and didn't know a lot about what exactly happened, if there were issues with the property owner and the supervisor or not. But there was more follow-up. The property owner was not left in the dark, and they went and met with him and talked to him about his site. So, you got anything with that?
No.
Okay.
So you think on the road reports that you're talking
No, that was just, I didn't talk to him about it.
about? All right.
Anyone else?
I'd just like to say thank you, Kate.
Yeah, I was going to follow up on case count. We can do it in the item. Why did the addition get made? Not back to the, was it, it's different than what the planning commission saw?
Can you do it with the items? I'm trying to still pull the PDF up, but just one clarification, just based on the revision is proposed for R1 non-conforming lots only, not every lot across the board for R1. And I would be more eloquent in my response if I have my packet in front of me.
We can get to it at the.
Okay,
Fair.
but I think it is R1 non-conforming lots only, not R1 across the board. And then two, I did send an email to all the planning commission members indicating the intent and that I will be proposing this with the board before I propose to the member of the packet for the board. But I can respond to specific comments made when we get to the item. But in the end, it definitely is a choice the board has to make the call or send it back to planning commission.
Okay, fair enough. The only other comment I had is on what Peter had to say is that there's a frequently asked questions on the roads being worked on. We could help address some of this at some point, whenever that gets done in the next couple of days or whatever. We're going to post that online, so we're planning.
Yes. I did complete a draft. I circulated, I left Mike's reviewing it. So once we figure that out, we're going to post it online and have it accessible.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you. That's all I have.
Speaking about roads, did we get the bill from them yet? Is there supposed to be the first?
Maybe first installment.
Did you not review?
I didn't see.
200,000.
Okay. That's the installment. What was the total?
They bill us typically 3 times in the season, and so far we've been billed once. I couldn't tell you what the second bill would be, or if there will even be a third bill. They're not predictable.
Okay.
All right, we're done with that. Treasurer's report.
So I'd like to just start off by making a general statement of that the financial position today of Webster Township remains strong. Given the fact that we're discussing the Webster Township L4029 tax levy later this evening, I do want to highlight in the Treasurer's report the fact that in 2024, Webster did not levy any operating millage. And if you look at the fund balance for the general fund in your report tonight, you'll see that on July 31st, our general fund balance was $3.6 million. If you look at the same exact report from July 31, 2024, 1 year ago, the general fund balance was $3.6 million. So during the course of the past 12 months, without levying any operating millage, our fund balance remained exactly even over the course of the last 12 months. We're now 4 months into the fiscal year. That's 1/3 of the year. At this point, we are at 34% of the budget for the general fund, excluding the one-time transfer that we made to the capital fund. Given the fact that the state legislature has yet to pass a budget, I continue to recommend that we be more financially conservative than usual. personally am in a wait-and-see mode as far as what will come out of Lansing and when. And last but not least, we're 49 days into the 76-day summer tax collection season, which is 64% of the season. We've only collected about 20% of the summer tax. For reasons not known to me, tax collection is significantly slower this year. I wish I knew why. Any questions, comments, advice?
I have a question. When is the L4029 due?
September 30.
Yeah, when that item comes up, we can take action or not tonight. It's not urgent. But we will have to next month.
Yeah, we have one meeting, right? So if we don't do it here, we have to do it by now.
I guess I was, we kind of talked about the idea of creating like priorities and how we would budget for those throughout the future. And I do understand that we want to be cautious because we don't know what's going to happen in the next year. But that means that we do need to plan the future years and what that, how that's going to impact us. So without kind of understanding what's critical and a priority and what's budgeted and what we missed in the budgeting, because when we budgeted, things were a little different than they are now. I'm nervous about approving this, and maybe the Michigan budget will be approved in between then and now, and that might impact, maybe not.
I know.
I don't know.
Yeah, we can deliberate this during that item on the agenda.
Yeah, okay.
And I guess I want to say something because I think a lot of the reasons that we actually still have the same fund balance is because of your investment skills. So
Thank you.
I think that's good. Okay. So we would, I guess.
I'll make a motion to accept the treasurer's report and pay the bills as well as those anticipated bills received before our next scheduled meeting on September 16th.
Second.
Okay. Other discussion. Okay. Roll call. Michelle.
Aye.
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 Okay. All. Okay. Good. Okay. So now we have the consent agenda reports. As you'll notice, so one of the sheriff things did not come in on time, so it's in front of you. We can always talk about it next month too if you want. So it's just, it looks like they finally caught up with their new way they want to report. This is at least from July, so they're getting there. Other than that, I don't have anything else. Oh, we have no real loss of, I don't think there is a loss of report.
There is minutes.
Oh, okay. So, but, yeah, not much.
Sounds like it says you're going to follow your articles of incorporation.
So yeah, there's a meeting
Sounds like a
on
good idea.
Friday or something. Friday, Thursday, whatever.
Did I change that? Mike, I thought it was Thursday.
Oh, probably.
It's Thursday,
Okay.
the first one.
Yes, the next one is Monday.
So, unless there's anything on, okay.
We're talking about the consent agenda.
Yeah, so,
We might want to talk for a minute. I might want to make a statement about the fire department.
okay, well.
Yeah, and I should, in the spirit of everything we've been talking about there recently, a couple comments on the roads. Use the
Okay.
public.
So,
Only because I think Tony was interested in me talking about.
no, okay, so let's do that.
I want to talk about
So,
roads. No.
the one thing I know we have to, like, actually deliberate on, I think, for what she wants, but if you just want to tell us some of the stuff in the consent agenda, or whatever you want to do, you know.
Fair enough, Tony. You want to talk about the fire department?
Sure. We haven't had a fire board meeting in a while. Well, we had one that I missed because I was ill. And at the last one, we only had 4 members present. And one of the items on the agenda for that meeting was to talk about the committee to explore possible changes to the interlocal agreement. The DAFD board at that time, according to John Westman, he told me that that was going to be on the agenda for for our meeting, which is Thursday of this week. It is not on our agenda. It disappeared, and the minutes from that last meeting are silent on that topic. So there's no written record about what happened or didn't happen. Meanwhile, I've been approached multiple times by Mayor Keough from the city wanting to know who our representatives are and how come we haven't responded to their township manager or city manager. I expect that we will have a discussion about this Thursday night at the fire board, but there seems to be a difference of opinion as to who's in charge of this, whether it's the DAFD or the city of Dexter. And I just wanted to make you all aware of that.
It's tough on the roads. I'm thrilled with our transcribing secretary, Grace Mather. She can type faster than we all can talk. So if you read our minutes, it's all there. So if you go to the ditching and drainage schedule, so the brief update, all the road work that we have planned is done. The one thing that's still an open item, I talked to Adam Lake. We had the number wrong for mileage on Strawberry Lake Road. So we're going to put 3 inches of 23 AA limestone down, and any extra savings we had, we're going to see if we can get it up to 6 this year. Not, we have a placeholder for our meeting next Wednesday, our updated roads budget, if we have to go back and get to 6 in this upcoming year. But the roads committee has been clear in their comments as they've gone out and looked at the roads on the ditching topic. So what ditching means in the current context, so we have 3 levels of mileage that we pay. So if we haven't been there in a while, the road commission says it's 120,000 a mile. If they've been there recently, it's 90,000. If they've been there real recently, it's 60. And the big variables between those 3 is ditching and tree work. So if you look at like up on Donovan or go down Shrubber, there isn't tree work high. So all the overhead clearance has been maintained. I've wrote all of them. But what you'll find where we have any significant grade, like the Donovan, Merkel, Walsh area, that's what we were just talking about. We had a resident talk about it at the special meeting. The gradients that are enough, the ditching that's done currently in the 120,000, they'll only scrape the ditch if there was a ditch there. So for road like Zeeb and Gregory have not had service work done in the last 20 years. All the ditches are gone. So there's no ditching. So the question is, what do we do for ditching? So then they have to go in and scoop and more invasive, which relates to the comments we heard from residents. Then moving or locating all of the utilities are involved. I'm going to start digging. You don't know where everything's at. There's a good chance somebody might have put a line down where the ditch should be. Because a lot of the roads are grown in. And typically on the tree question, like dating back to when the spraying happened in 2017, 18, before COVID, the road commission got the message. They are not touching trees bigger than 6 inches in diameter. They'll take scrub trees down. If it's bigger, they're leaving it, and they're just going to put the gravel or the limestone down around. That's kind of the general state of affairs, which then leads to the question, like we saw from Walsh or washout. What do we do? So an item for our roads committee is to start identifying probably the 10% or 20% of our roads that have grades high enough. We have to talk about getting to the higher levels of moving. And if you do it where we're going to move utilities, they said the baseline estimate's 200,000. They had recommended cases where they've done it like in Scio or west of us or something along those lines. So that's all for information. It's not a million a mile, but it's somewhere in the 200.
Thanks. Other comments on the consent agenda? Okay. So if I could get a motion to approve it.
Move to approve consent agenda?
Oh, we pulled up the parts, we're putting it.
Yeah, pulling out parts
So,
as amended.
So as amended. And then I guess, so also because there's the release of the performance bond for the St. Joe's, we should add that as our motion. So let's file the consent agenda report as amended and approve the release of the performance bond. If you would just to add that little part.
Move to approve the consent agenda, including St. Joseph Church release of performance bond and the adjustment of pulling out Parks and Rec Committee minutes and making that as number D in the action item.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, so the first action item is PBR appraisal approval. Should be relatively straightforward. Oh, no.
I would move to approve an appraisal on application 2015-4 to cost no more than $3,500 on the PBR agenda.
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
Yeah, I have a question. Shelley, do you know how many acres it is?
It is, it does not say. That's a good question, but it's not on here. I don't have I need to start bringing a little grid with me. I don't know. I don't think,
I was just curious how it came up onto our table since it's a 10-year-old application. There's no acres, and it was low, like priority 9, if I remember correctly.
yeah, 9th and, yeah. Well, some of the ones that were first, you
So
know.
I guess
the
my
one-
question isn't specific to this necessarily, but the process that would allow.
Yeah, I can speak a little bit generally about that.
Yeah.
So if you look at the different kinds of funding we have, ASAP, RCPP, Blue Belt, basically when a property comes up for application, they look at what features the property has. And depending on what features the property has, that kind of determines which grant we would go for. So Blue Belt is really looking at properties that are upstream from the river. One of the funding sources wants a mix of farming and natural features. One wants natural features. So it's just, then we determine who's, then to compound the issue, some of these funding sources are no longer available, at least temporarily, because the administration took the money. And I think there could be an update, but it took the money that was already kind of promised to us. Some of the things that might have been like rated as first, might not be first because that funding source that would have been the most applicable to them might not be available right now.
One man's first is another man's ninth.
Yeah.
And vice versa. I will say, I did attend the Dexter Forum on Saturday morning, and the Matt McDonnell, the managing director of the Road Commission, was there, and so was the chair of the Road Commission. And they were talking about the roundabout that's supposed to go in 2026 in front of the old/new fire station over by A&W. And I asked the pointed question as to, are those federal money? I asked literally, do you have the money already? And he said no. And Debbie Dingle said, don't count on getting it.
Oh, no.
Well, the point of my story is not roads.
Yeah, no,
But
it's happening.
Yes.
And I think more will happen after 2026 midterm elections.
Well, we're supposed to get the Joy Heron River Drive mass roundabout in 2027, and I would really love a roundabout there, but
That's the one, yeah.
I'm not holding my breath for those federal dollars either. It's fine, sorry.
Yeah, the 5 points is
Thank you, Shelley.
yeah.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. So, any more questions, discussion? Okay, so roll call.
Aye.
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 Okay. All, okay. So, This one's John's, without really into this.
Yeah, I put in the packet a draft. It's remarkably similar to what we passed last year. The only changes were the reduction factor, which I don't have right in front of me at the moment. But anyway, that is the draft that I prepared, and I support the draft as presented. As I mentioned in my treasurer's report, we have not needed the operating millage to maintain our fund balance. Our fund balance is enough to finance regular ongoing operations for 3 years or more. So we're in a good position to withstand a 3-year financial disaster. Most of what we rely on for revenue is state share revenue. It continues to be coming in at a regular pace, but if it went to zero, we could survive for 3 years.
John, last year, last year we used about $370,000 worth of our funds for operations. We don't have those this year. How's that going to impact that budget
So the
or balance?
it's weird how that money, the accounting and the reality of the dollars is different. Those dollars were received before a year ago, so they really aren't reflected in this fund balance per se.
So were they, and I should know this and I don't, they were not part of the general fund before. We had not recognized that revenue.
Except that they were in the general fund bank accounts.
Correct. But they should not have been recognized as revenue until we actually spent them.
We were required to recognize it as revenue on the same time that we spent it.
Correct.
So the fact is that it came in and out at the instant that that transaction was recorded.
Yes. All I'm just asking, and I'm not quite sure how to phrase this, when the money was received in, it should not have been reflected in our revenues. It should have been setting in the bank account as suspense. I would put it in, but.
It was in a separate line item in the GL. I don't recall the name of it off the top of my head.
But what I'm saying is that when we recognize revenue, that 350,000, maybe 370,000 was part of the revenue we recognized in that 24-25 year, and it is not going to be available this year. It should not have been in the general fund balance per se and I'm pretty sure it wasn't, John, because the auditors would have noted that. We hadn't earned it, so we couldn't recognize it. That was that mechanical thing that we did every month. And so my question again is, if we take that $350,000 out of our revenue, which we will have to, where will that leave us if we leave our operating millage at zero?
My prediction is that unless our spending habits change, which they may, our fund balance will be maintained. If we spend more, the fund balance will go down.
And have we allowed for the remodel expenditure in your prognostications?
No, because the finances that I've reported this evening are looking back 1 year. I didn't put a forecast in going forward. I don't know what this board's going to vote to spend on.
Okay.
Well, I think that's a central point, is the word forecast. I think we as a body have talked about, I've got 4 items here that are bigger ticket. You've already touched on the building. We talked about the culvert up on Los Angeles on it. It's gonna be here sooner instead of later.
But a lot of those are coming out of capital. They're not coming out of general.
Fair enough, we can talk about them in a conference. I think collectively, I'm gonna have a similar comment on public safety. Let's look at, in that case, capital right now.
Capital right now is almost $750,000.
Right, so,
And we have, I'm looking at the old one, sorry.
yeah, the one you just reported, you showed capital of 475. That's the point, that's what, and Tony had raised this point a couple meetings ago. You know, I see 4 bigger ticket items. We're talking about the building, which I've heard numbers in the 500K.
500,
Something like that.
without any of this.
The culvert is 500. I know we've talked about a park, but that's probably a back burner item just based on some of the things I've heard. And we had the roads committee is talking about pulling money forward. And all that's mature. I know we're pulling and tugging at each other early, but I really haven't done all the work. You know, the high level number is we can collect up to $5.5 million over 10 years on roads. We just keep following this blindly. We only need, if we pull some of the money forward, we need 4.6. If we don't pull any forward, we need like 4.8. So there's a $200 savings we can add if we're willing to be clever about where we spend it. It's basically the same math that the bank doesn't want you paying off your mortgage for. We have a couple of big ticket items, maintenance-wise, we pull them forward before we have to pay extra accruing in years. You then save later. By the time you get to year 4, you save $200,000 to $300,000 a year. But anyway,
One thing that you haven't brought up, and we've sort of been going back and forth, there has to be some major repairs done to the parking or the surface, the driving surface at the fire hall.
So, yeah, so that was the, right now, I should have probably said something in the supervisor's remarks, but I have ordered they're gonna bore 6 holes in various parts of the fire department to tell us, you know, like, what the structure looks like underneath. That's what the board wanted to do last time, before we, so, but yes, if we went with the quote, which we have to do an RFP anyway, it was around 100,000, including the paving of the, that was the last, the one quote we got.
and the municipal trees, again, I'd like to, if we could, have a meeting where we put together a bar chart forecast with all these items, capital improvement and general fund, and see, and that should inform what our village strategy is.
Correct, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
And I know Dan isn't here to argue the other side of it. And so we obviously wouldn't make decisions without his input, but we really need to schedule that meeting.
And that's in the discussion. I mean, it's kind of weird because it does all really go together. Almost like,
So in that same vein, Tony had asked for, John, you made comments on the public safety funding, about this fiscal liability question long term. Tony's comment
Yeah, more
was,
than 5 years from now.
yeah, right, but we're not, so we have latitude on the millage we levy, but we can go out to 3.2, we're levying 2.6. Most of those numbers don't mean anything to me unless I saw a forecast that says we're viable or not viable at some point.
doesn't that, I thought you gave us that one of the other months.
I have,
Yeah, so.
yeah.
The
The reality is that we can cover our responsibilities even if we spend more.
That we have surplus in the public safety account.
Well, our public safety fund balance went up from a year ago. A year ago it was 2 million even, and now it's 2.16. It went up, even though costs have gone up, our collections have gone up more because the 2.6 is the same amount that we have levied several years in a row, and that is not heavily reduced. The maximum that we levy is heavily reduced, but the actual amount that we levied was not reduced. So our public safety revenues have gone up at the rate that property has appreciated, not taxable value.
But we couldn't bill, I mean, we even tech heavily evaluated, we could go up to 3.2 mils, right, 3.26.
is authorized to go up that high, that's correct.
I don't have an opinion either way until I see it working. This is my high level comment. And there's big ticket items here that I'm generally for all of them, and if there's a responsible millage strategy to be able to achieve those goals, but see if we can do in the next 30 days or the next 30 days.
I would just really like to have, I mean, we're fighting the timeline on this, and we need to get our private road ordinance in place, hashed out and in place, and we have other things coming down the pike at us. But I would really like to see this priorities meeting scheduled because it can affect our 4029 and our millage asks of the people, the residents.
And then we have justification for the millage. Somebody asks, right, I mean, here's the plan. This is why. Yeah, I'd say we table this if we can. We can come back to it no later than 30 days from now.
We really, in order for it to be timely, I have to have it handed into the county and they'll be handing it into the state by the 30th, I believe it is, of September. So we have to make a decision at our next meeting.
Right.
The 16th of September. Whether or not we hold this operating to zero or we levy some fraction, whatever we do.
Could we have a planning and forecasting agenda item on that same meeting, and then this follows? Or that could be combined?
We could, right now we have, I don't know, not a lot in September yet. So,
Except we're getting ready for another election.
that's true.
So we need to just get these meetings set is what
Right.
I'm kind of getting at.
Well, right now, I mean, I sent out an email for the special ones for the roads, and honestly, we can talk about this as well, if we can get that before the next meeting. So,
I'm open to meeting as many times as we need to.
yeah.
We're
So, all right, well, I will, I'll send out some stuff tomorrow, get some more input. It's really, I mean, at this point, we may have to do some of it without Dan, only because of his accessibility. So we'll find out though. Because I had one question that I was going to ask you to look into if you could. So when we were talking about the roads, you brought up the fact that some of the other things we can do to make, like water available, it was like the fire hydrant like they have in front of the, so if you can, if any, like how much they are or any of that stuff, maybe we can, I mean, because that would be the public safety one if we need, I would guess that was where that would come from. If we're going to make, put some of those in.
Well, I'll put that on. I'll add that to our agenda for our roads meeting. We have Jeff Buchanan, a firefighter.
Okay, so yeah, I just, just for how
I'm
much.
talking about dry hydrants.
Yeah, so,
Do you have anything?
so if we get any more info for that, we can talk about that too. Okay, so with that, I guess we're all okay with tabling it?
So you're talking
Or
to
anything? Or wait.
You're postponing it. Table it, you come back.
So we will postpone it. Okay. So now the resolution, adoption of, okay, so the zoning ordinance amendment.
if you want to postpone it.
Oh, do we want
That's
to?
a motion.
Okay, so a motion to postpone.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
No. No.
Okay.
Aye.
Mike did. Brad said.
Yeah, okay.
How many no's?
Me
Nay.
and John.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so I guess now the resolution about the zoning ordinance amendment.
Okay, I think I'm ready.
Okay, so.
I know it's my memo. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's what I was gonna say, your memo.
Okay.
Okay.
I just wanted to repeat some of the things that are in my memo, so I apologize if it's repetitive. But in Ag zoning districts and R1 zoning districts, we have a couple of lots which are non-conforming, which means the minimum lot size in ag is 2 acres, but we have some lots in ag districts that are about less than 2 acres, 1 acre, 0.8 acre even. Same goes with R1. We have the minimum lot acreage is 1 acre, and we have lots that are less than 1 acre in R1. And each lot, how much you can build on a lot is regulated by 2 standards. One is lot coverage, and the other one is floor area ratio. Lot coverage is the amount of spread on the lot, single floor. It doesn't take into account what's the square footage on the additional floors. Floor area ratio regulates what's the amount of square footage you can have all floors combined. So I'll take the example of R1 so that it kind of serves dual purpose. It also addresses the comments raised by Kay, and then also, so for example, I am, let's say, a non-conforming lot in R1 is about 19,600 square feet. I'm going to be throwing a lot of numbers at you guys. If you want to note them down with your phone, that's fine too. So, okay. So we are taking an example of a non-conforming R1 lot, which is 19,600 square feet. With the maximum lot coverage requirement, we are telling the resident that you can have a building that is about 5,880 square feet in total, because that's the maximum for lot coverage for non-conforming lots, 30%. And then we are immediately telling the resident that, however, the FAR for R1 non-conforming lots is 20%, so you can actually only build 3,920 square feet. Because FAR is 20%, it's 10% less than the maximum lot coverage. So we're telling them you can have this, but at the same time we're taking 10% away with this FAR restriction. So when I originally proposed it to the Planning Commission, it was all prompted because of a plan review that came in front of Zoning Board of Appeals, where the lot coverage and the FAR are the same in ag district, and that felt very restrictive, even when they are same. R1, it's less. Okay, so now, when the original conversation was presented to the Planning Commission, my recommendation was that for a rural township, it's very unusual to have an FAR regulation. It's only lot coverage, because ultimately it's the amount of land you're disturbing on the property, and the size of the septic field is dependent based on size of the houses and everything. So my original recommendation was we should probably just get rid of FAR for Webster Township. But the Planning Commission raised a very valid point, and they said because it applies to a lot of properties in the township, they said let's just defer this discussion to master plan and take a look at it and then make a decision. Fair point. So at that point they said, okay, let's just look at the non-conforming lots and make sure at least it's fair for lots that don't meet the minimum requirements. We're not putting it's comparable to non-conforming lots. So the whole discussion was focused on non-conforming lots in ag districts, and then to have an FAR ratio which is not limiting the lot coverage. So at that point, the proposed revision was that non-conforming lots in ag districts, 20% would be the lot coverage, and we increase, we said 30%, 10% is the lot coverage for non-conforming ag districts, and then the Plan Commission discussed to allow 20% in FAR. Double the lot coverage for non-conforming lots in ag district. The idea behind that is non-conforming lots in ag districts are similar in size with regular lots in R1, and regular lots in R1 we said 20% is acceptable. That was the idea behind it. So when I said in my memo that it is consistent with the discussion, one, it is consistent that we are only looking at non-conforming lots in R1 district. Non-conforming lots of record. So lots which are part of Grass Creek subdivision or subdivision or site condos, it doesn't apply to them. It only applies to lots of record. I did a quick count. We hardly have many R1 non-conforming lots, but just looking at the maps, I think we have about 7 near Bays Lake, 10 to 15 near Huron River Drive, Dexter Pickney Road, and less than 10 around Park Lake. So maybe 30, 35 at max. So the proposed revision only would allow those lots to have same FAR ratio and lot coverage. That's all. And the point that I would never recommend changes happen after planning commission looks at something and forwards you to it. This is just a very rare case, and it doesn't set a precedent, and I wouldn't recommend that happen. The only reason why I was recommending it this time because it's very consistent, and it was just an oversight that we didn't look at R1 when we were looking at Ag. 1. 2, it only applies to just a couple of lots, and we are not making it restrictive. We are making it, when we're saying we can get up to 5,000 square foot house, we're not taking away 10% back. And then also because it's only one standard. And then keeping in mind to keep it moving forward, I thought maybe I'll put the option in front of the board. Does it make sense at all? So that's where we are today. And then while we're doing non-conforming section, the amendment also included a little clarification to the special use requirement for temporary structures. So the ordinance is also double, what's the word? It has just double requirements when somebody's trying to do a temporary structure. The zoning ordinance requires that they go through the special use permit process with planning commission, but then that one specific section says that you have to come to the board to get their approval. So it's just two processes that would add more time on paper, but coincidentally, the board has approved many temporary structure permits in the past, and none of them went to planning commission. So why have it there when we're not sending them to planning commission, when temporary structure permits come straight to the board? So that's just a cleanup amendment. So 3 things. We are revising the FAR ratios for non-conforming lots in Ag, and which was approved by Planning Commission. The change to special use permit, the temporary structure applicability as a permitted use has been reviewed and agreed by the Planning Commission. The only revision that's not discussed by the Planning Commission on a public meeting is the R1. It wasn't discussed over an email either. I just sent out an information email. I did hear back from Kay. I just wasn't sure. I wish I knew where this came from, but I didn't hear any objections from any of the members.
Do we have people stacking up right now that are affected by the FAR and R1?
Yes, but I also want to clarify the reason why I'm recommending is not to address one person's request, but if it's something that needs to be done, it makes sense why prolong it. So we do have another application that ZBA looked at last month, which prompted the R1, because now they're like, I think the ordinance limits them to 20% and they're at 38%. That's a big deviation, but as a planner looking at those numbers, I'm like, it should at least be 30%. Then they can scale it back instead of seeking the variance. But that just prompted the discussion. That is not the impetus on trying to push this forward. That just prompted the discussion.
Yeah, but general comments relative to schedule, thinking about sending it back or whatever, how would we impact other applications?
So the procedure would be, if you send it back to planning commission, they would discuss it, one meeting, and then they would schedule a public hearing for another meeting, and then that would come back to board. So that would take 3 meetings again before it comes back to you.
Thoughts?
I'm not happy that there were changes after planning commission. I think it needs to go back. I hate to say it, but I think we need to.
I think it needs to go back as well.
So I have a question. Practically speaking, I've been, I'm guessing our options are send the whole thing back, which we don't need to, or,
You can just amend it without, as planning commission recommended, and just send the other one back.
okay, without, I mean, I'm guessing that section 9.15 was the one?
Right.
Okay, so we could have a motion to approve it as passed by the planning commission.
Excluding.
Well, I also have heartburn because on its face, this is all talking about FAR, but I'm personally very uncomfortable with adding 2 permitted uses to the ag district, which is 98% of our township. I don't want that. I don't think our input from the last 2 cycles of master planning have said that our people want it.
Can I clarify? If I
So this
may.
would be like on page, I'm not looking at the resolution part, so 3 of 6, 9.10,
If you look at page 91 in the packet,
oh yeah, it's on 101 too, so 91. Yeah, so those last 2, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So,
Here's 3 of 6. 3 of 6.
it's just twice. Okay.
that would be a big, big change for our township.
Like,
So that would be section 9.10 B, 12 and 13.
sorry, can I clarify that?
Oh, yeah, no, I'm just waiting for Jeff. Okay.
So those are underlined, which means that there are additional conditions attached to that permitted use. And when you click on that, it will take you to the section 12 point, I don't remember it, the memo. And that section requires that they come to the board for an approval. And that's how they're being reviewed. You just recently reviewed one on Scully Road when you wanted to put a trailer on the property while his house is in construction. It's that. So it's not permissible, it's not just administrative that goes through me, it comes to board. All we are eliminating is the additional layer of review by special use, which we haven't applied in the past. So it's not 2 additional new uses, it's just the uses that were removed from the special use and then moved to permitted because they are guided by those additional standards in the use standards and they come to board.
Okay, so I get it. So they were in C and now they're.
Right.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
They come to
by
board.
design, special uses are intended to be a higher bar. A permitted use is a permitted use. The way zoning works is that if it's not permitted, it's not allowed. This makes it much more permissive. And I've been through the master plan cycle twice now, and this is not something that our residents have asked for. It would change the character of this township.
Yeah, I agree. The whole special use topic, we've all been about as far as that topic. So keeping that as a special use, I think, is the right approach.
So to me, that's an additional argument to send it back to the planning commission with guidance.
So is that just then, I don't want to say for looks, but just moving it down into special uses because we weren't doing the special use permit for it, right? We were doing what we do for, we're just doing board approval. That's the
You
issue.
can't do a special use without a special use permit. It's not lawful.
No, the way our ordinance is written, if it's listed under special use, it has to go through the special use process. Some communities have permitted uses, conditional uses, and special uses. So what would it mean is if, I'm sorry, I'm speaking on it.
No, I was just saying that. Okay, so,
What was the summary that came back then from the planning commission?
They were okay with the change. That's part of their recommended draft. So ideally, if a Scully Road permit comes now, then I would have to tell them, go through the planning commission, special public hearing and everything, and then come back.
That's the special use
That's the
process.
special use.
And if we switch it, they come before us
Yeah.
instead of the planning commission and then public
Which-
hearing.
What they've been doing.
Right, I remember, because we did that, yeah.
Just a brief refresher, the specific section I'm talking about requires that they come to the board. It requires that there is a 1-year time limit on such structures. It requires that they put in a performance bond in place. And it requires that if they extend the timeline, they have to come back to the board for additional time. So there are checks and balances in that section to make sure they don't become permanent structures.
In the discussion, we were okay with it, planning commission wasn't okay with it. I think what might have helped here is the additions of those to show some of the restrictions. What's on it when you go to those sites, or go to the site and say, what's required of this? And I think probably if we had had more information, or if some members had more information, we would have been able to review that and see what those were.
Zoning ordinance, the section number is referred to them.
Were you part of the PC with us?
I was. I can't tell you if I can answer the specific question.
Okay. But you're supportive of this change?
I was supportive.
Right, fair enough. Every track my car. Especially if we have control over what is happening.
Yeah, I guess in theory, if I have a fire and now I don't have a place to stay, so I'm gonna get something on my property, going through the planning commission way takes 3 months, right? And what do I do in the meantime?
I don't think that's what we're talking about.
Yes, it is.
No, I think it's talking about having other people live on my property.
Well, some of it is, but some of it is also like what we approved, where he was redoing his home, and they were getting sick from it.
Yeah, the word temporary shows up in.
so that's in the page 2 of the memo.
Yeah, right.
And John, I think was talking about item 5, a dependent person on a lot with an existing and occupied principal single-family detached dwelling during the period of dependency. That's what he's talking about.
That's a
Yeah.
correct.
What'd you say?
That's typically, people have used it to have their payments on the property, or somebody who's financially or medically dependent on them, and that section requires them to provide documentation and certification to prove the dependency. This is not opening door for AUs, this has been in the ordinance since 2000,
Not as a permitted use.
but it was never processed as a special land use. The recommendation is just to make the process streamlined and efficient, still keeping the checks and balances that we have in use standards.
It's much more permissive.
Jeff, what's your position on that?
I'm in favor of it.
Of item 5?
Yeah.
Okay, of moving it to permitted uses versus leaving it in special.
We
It's
have a
never
lot
been
of,
as special.
we have a lot of stuff that comes before this board. And as you know, we have meetings that go to 11 o'clock sometimes to discuss a lot of this stuff. And I think some of it, and not only that, the process that the residents have to go through sometimes for some of these things that seem mundane or just routine. I think it's too much to ask for it, and that we can streamline those processes, and I think that was the intent. I don't want to speak for all the planning commissioners, because they can speak for themselves with regards to the discussion. But the fact is that, from my standpoint, we see a lot of this stuff come to us. It's the same thing with the private road ordinance that we're talking about. Not talking about that today. But the simple fact is, we're looking at trying to streamline these things, make them, more uniform, more streamlined to do, to where it's not burdensome for anybody to do them. And it's always the balance of trying to keep what you want and what's streamlined. But I think it was a good change.
Am I allowed to ask Tom?
Oh, yeah, we can ask questions.
Tom, what was your position on this?
I'm in favor of passing the pieces that you have in front of you, the two, and the third is for later. Yeah, we all voted, and it was a unanimous vote to bring this to you,
Okay.
those two pieces.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, so, I'm not sure where we are, I don't think anyone's moved anything yet. But
Yeah, I'm there. I'd like to move, so it's all in this resolution, we can move what's been approved by the PC and what hasn't been approved by the PC, we send it back.
I'll second that.
Okay, other discussion? Okay, that'll be a roll call vote, right? So,
Aye.
So this is sending back 9.15, right?
Yes,
Stuff that was
sending
not-
back 9.15B.
I say aye.
No.
Aye.
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 Okay. All right. And then, yes, so. All right, so now, B, which would be the parks.
We, as you know, we kickstarted the Parks and Rec master plan process a couple months ago. We had a survey out there to get some preliminary input from the residents. I know we did one survey when we were, the township was coming up with the conceptual design for the park, but we still have to do one because of the timeline and the DNR requirements. So we distributed a survey that was posted on the website, posted on the site. Planning commission members had the flyers out there during St. Joe's Flea Market. We only got 33 responses. But good work, still gives us a good direction where people are. And at the meeting on 14th, we presented the survey responses to the parks and committee members, and we talked about potential draft goals and objectives for the master plan, which are pretty general, given the fact that township doesn't have any facilities right now, but just having a vision. So the master plan is just to have a vision. There's nothing implementation or something that has to go right away. So we have a draft goals and objectives. We also talked about open house and what kind of boards and what's the format of it and how we're going to solicit input from residents at the open house. August 28th, 6 to 8 p.m. is the date we decided. The reason, because we're trying to work backwards from the deadline of when we need to submit the plan to DNR. So we need to do the open house on the 28th of August. So that gives us enough time to put together a summary memo for the board at your September 16th meeting, because we need some guidance from the board with regards to the matching grants and what, So we wanted to give you the information from the survey, the existing conditions summary, and then the open house so that you can give us some general guidance on the policy decisions, which have to do with if the park is built, how we're going to do the maintenance, how much of it we need to, how much are we willing to. We will draft the questions in the memo together. So that's the plan. We have open house, August 28th, 6 to 8, please spread the word. We will have 5 votes. The Parks and Committee members will be at the open house, trying to interact with the folks. And September 16th would be the next meeting. We'll probably likely have a public hearing in October, because we're trying to get it back to board for adoption in December or January.
Okay.
Oh, I did learn that we have Old Township Hall property.
On the other park
Yeah,
that I've never seen
yeah.
either.
On
Okay,
Spalding.
well, another park.
On Spelly.
Yeah. That's where the Old Township Hall used to be, which was moved to Historic Society, but that is available. Apparently, there were many discussions in the past to build a gazebo at that location, but it's fenced and maintained. So that's a new thing I learned on the 14th. I'm going to check it out.
Maintained by a charitable neighbor.
Nice, thank you, Chair.
So, yes, that's a quick response, a little heads up. It's coming to you guys on September 16th. Parks open house on 28th, 6 to 8. Please come.
Okay.
I would like to receive the full survey responses.
There will be in the packet, but I can email those to you. They're available right now. So I can email the Parks and Rec packet that was distributed to them on the 14th now, and then provide you an executive summary. They would have been part of the packet, but I can send them out anyway.
Okay, so we don't need to vote on, part of why I didn't put in the discussion part is I was a little confused about whether we had to okay like matching funds, but apparently not yet.
Not yet. So
So,
I guess
alright.
September 16th meeting is getting on the agenda.
Okay, okay. All right. Okay, so now I think we're at discussion items. A Velvet Ridge road permit request.
Okay, so we
Yeah.
have the applicant's representative here and the applicant as well. And we have our engineer, Ted Erickson. The report was included in the memo. This is a new construction of a private road serving 8 lots. The lots are being split using land division application, not a site condo. They are proposing, they do meet the standards of the private road ordinance in terms of the radius and the width and all. Fire department didn't provide a review, but they provided a comment which was included in the memo that they do meet the requirements of the private road ordinance, but they don't want to do an official recommendation of approval based on that because they are bound to fire code. So I think one of the conditions of approval that's listed in Ted's review letter is, the engineer's review letter is to have an infiltration test performed, be done prior to construction.
I think it can be done at the time of construction.
At the time or during construction, at least before completion of the project. I think with that, I think the applicant's here as well. If you have any questions, you want to add anything?
So if it doesn't meet filtration, what's the remedial measure?
So that's a great question. Right now, all the ground drains, all the water drains to that one spot where they put an infiltration basin in. So you'll get some additional drainage from the roadway. Likely it's going to work based on the soils, the soil characteristics. Likely it's going to work.
Should it be corrective action in the plan? Or is,
Yeah, there's probably should be a corrective action, yes.
so as a new drawing would show up for some grading plan?
Because I have to think about what that could be.
Yeah, I'm all by all means.
Sure. So I would assume if the infiltration report gives us a comment that the size of the retention area is not big enough, then at the time that we would do the test, we would amend the drawing so that there would be enough room for the.
It's been a long day, that's a good answer.
Fair enough.
So yeah, and that's a very easy thing to do.
Fair enough. All right. Thank you.
Our civil engineer did all the calculations, and they're included in the drawings, and then we looked at the soils report, which is what our civil engineer used, the USGS published soils report and infiltration rates to do our calculations. And so if we find something, on site, we have to make it a little bit bigger to do that.
They actually use 50% of the published evidence, so
Right.
it's a conservative approach to that perspective.
I have just a separate question about the maintenance agreement part that's on here. So do we have a draft one?
So a draft is provided in the packet,
Okay.
but I do have some comments that revisions needed to be made. The applicant has, I didn't get a chance to review them to provide a comment, but it's my understanding that it can be part of your motions, that we have some time to, work on it while the construction's on the way.
And we're completely okay with the
Condition.
We realize that we need to have a maintenance agreement, or we put a draft in, I actually borrowed that from Dexter. So,
But I do want to make a note that Paul has been very proactive from day one, trying to make sure everybody's comments were understood, and he met with Ted a little bit, he met with fire people, he met with me multiple times, and I just wanted to acknowledge that when we put our application together, he's been.
and I'm a landscape architect, so I'm used to doing stuff.
And Scott's
Fair
friend.
So this is site count?
No,
No.
it's done through land
It's
division.
just land division?
Right,
Okay.
so that's why it's, yeah.
One of the things that I would like to see, like in the maintenance, it specifically is if you're gonna have infiltration basin, to make sure that the basin's cleaned out.
Yes.
Because and specifically saying that in the maintenance
Maintenance
agreement.
agreement, okay.
Because I've seen too many infiltration basins that they work great, and then the first couple of years after they get leaf fall in them, now all of a sudden, or they dry out and residents decide that, hey, it's a perfect place to blow my leaves and burn them.
Yeah.
The soil content changes. So, and with runoff and all the other stuff, you could get it to where they start to fail. So they need to be cleaned, and it needs to be put in here as far as that. It's not a cheap expense.
But if they're not maintained, they don't work. And
Right.
that creates more
And then
problems.
people flood, yes,
Totally.
exactly. That's why I'd like to see something in
Yep,
this.
just making a note here on my phone.
Any other?
Good suggestion.
I was gonna say, I tell you the same thing with rain gardens.
Yeah.
Which is really an infiltration basin.
Okay, so, unless we have more questions, if anyone would like to move, I will.
So how do I do this? You guys amended, Jim? Is that how?
I would move it as amended if that's agreed. It's okay with me.
Our only amendment then is.
To add specifics in the maintenance agreement for the infiltration basin.
And the condition,
Maintenance.
And you can do-
yeah, the condition, the first condition about infiltration,
Changing the bed size if needed.
Yeah, conditions, I would assume the conditions was listed in your report, plus the maintenance, plus the maintenance of the infiltration basins.
Yes.
Well, and are we also going to give them a way so that she hasn't reviewed it thoroughly yet, the maintenance agreement, is that right?
Right, I think.
She needs some opportunity maybe to add
So
some
there
things
is
to it.
one comment where I asked if you would like to see the draft, or if you'd like that to be reviewed administratively.
Yeah.
That was one more revision. I think I said it would come back to you, because it's consistent with how you looked
Yeah,
at it
we'd like to
last.
see it.
Yeah.
So that's the condition. So I'm trying to test my memory.
So the condition, just so we're clear, the condition says the applicant shall submit a draft private road maintenance agreement for review, which was the amendment of the Penny infiltration basin, for review and approval by the township attorney and/or town board prior to the start of construction.
So I think, yeah, you need to amend the draft to remove or, it will be and the township board.
Okay.
And with the recommendations that are on there from the township engineer.
Yeah, which is the second,
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess we would add, like, so if the values come back differently, a new drainage
Right.
schedule drawing will be submitted.
Right.
Yes, would there be amendments to the drawings? And then I think the last question that I had, and you and I talked about it, was that assuming that the maintenance agreement has been approved, assuming that the infiltration test has been approved, or we haven't to make any amendments to the drawings, that then we have a cost estimate for the construction that we can provide a performance bond for us doing the road.
So, yeah,
As opposed to a letter of credit and or
Right.
deposit, but a performance bond,
which is
typical
acceptable,
construction.
yeah, we've done that in the past.
Okay, yeah.
Don, did you catch all that? Are you good?
I do want to comment. So the draft memo indicates that you need to come back to the board prior to start of construction. That's doable.
Yeah, prior to construction, yes. And we have our roadway commissioner as well.
Okay, so we have a motion.
I'll move as amended.
Oh,
Or Jeff, is that what you did?
I think Jeff moved.
No, I motion.
So Jeff, would you like to amend your motion, or shall we?
Go ahead. I was just looking at soil type.
No,
I'll move based on recent discussion as amended to approve develop Ridge private road for permit request for the construction.
Second.
okay. Any other discussion? All right, Shelley?
Aye.
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 Okay.
Thank you very much. We'll do that. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. All right, so priority special meeting is the next thing. So yes, so we talked about that a little bit. I guess, okay, so since we're sitting here, I'm a little bit Damon. I'm open to pretty
Thanks,
much.
Jesse.
Yeah, thank you. I'm pretty much open to any, like, day. Jeff gave me a week, so it'll be the week, when does it start? Like, it's the week that the 9th is in.
Next one was just bad for me.
So,
I'm gone the first week, half of the third week,
right,
full fourth week.
so it'll be like the second week. So John told me that the 9th can't work because of the fire department.
The second week works for me. The only bad week for me is the fourth.
Okay, so, and then John, do you have any second week? Like,
The 9th is the only one that's blocked.
okay, so that's good. I'm good, Shelley?
I'm actually gonna miss the next board meeting, so I'll be gone that third week, but I probably can think of the dates around that.
Okay, so the second week,
Can it be 10?
it could, I mean, so far it could be the 10th.
Okay.
Tony's got.
Because I think I might be.
Okay, so I think, shall we set it for the 10th? And then,
We're just gonna say the 8th or something.
okay, so the 10th, as long as that's okay with us?
Now, Donna has the road committee.
That's tentative. I doesn't have our meeting yet. All the meetings have been tentative because we're still figuring out kind of what we're doing and when we need to do it, so I can move it to something else. I haven't talked to them about that. I'm certain of that.
Okay, so we will plan the 10th. We'll let Dan know, and we can talk about the priorities, and I guess keep going the road. Yeah, so three, I was gonna ask you, so the changes that, because Don asked, and I understand why, you would like them, against what I.
End of this week?
Yeah, can we do like just the stuff we picked last time, like the fixes?
I'd like to see a clean copy of the changes that we agreed to at the last meeting.
I mean, I didn't think they were huge for that. part. So, okay.
End of township week or Friday?
My flight is Friday morning. And I need it on paper.
Okay.
Yes. No, let me get this straight.
Yes.
Now,
Yes.
the 10th is the priorities meeting, and we're continuing on private roads, or is it private roads and maybe we'll get to priorities?
Willing to do both?
How long do you want to be here?
How long do you want to be here?
I mean, honestly, at this point, we're like, how about priorities first, and we see, because that we need to have for the September, for the, so priorities first, and roads, we'll stop at 10.
When are we running out of our 90 days for that moratorium?
60 days from now.
2 more months.
We've got 2 months?
Yeah.
Okay.
Then we obviously have to extend. But I think we also, it has been my standing recommendation in the memo from day one that a public hearing is not required, but we should do one. So we should also keep that into account, that once we have a draft, that the majority of board is okay with, or whatever, we should also account a date for a public hearing. So what the moratorium may.
Oh, right, yeah.
We've got 90 days from 30 days
Right.
or so.
Right.
September 10th, Wednesday.
And then, I mean, we've talked about some of the priorities, but, I mean, obviously, if you have any, if you send them to me, we can, I'll make a list or
Yeah,
whatever.
right. Try to structure it.
I know we've already said the 10th, but.
The 10th.
Would have been.
It's okay. If we have a suggestion for the 11th, is that going to work?
No,
Instead of the 10th?
11th might be tight. My daughter's turning 16, and I was hoping to take those 2 weeks.
Okay.
So you won't be,
We had something else.
No, it takes 4 sessions.
Oh, the park's on 11th. Okay, so.
She's 10.
Okay, 10. All right. So the next thing, okay, so we're good with that so far. Website, so this was another, so Bill is going up north for his
I'm sorry.
assessor training.
Can we, I'm having a hard time.
Oh,
Because.
Peter, sorry, Peter, could you guys like just, so, okay, so, okay. So the website, so basically Bill just wanted to get some more input, if you had any, about whether you thought about any of the website changes that, so again, we have, a free update, and I know you were talking with Bill.
I did talk with Bill. Bill said that he and Sri were going to work on a survey, like a questionnaire to send out to us, so that we can talk about what website needs we have, what's working or not working. And so
Okay.
I have some website needs based on the Natural Features Committee,
Right.
so I'll send them all.
Okay, so if you have any,
He reached out.
did we get any reports from Bill, and I haven't had a chance to touch base with him about how frequently the public uses that website?
I haven't,
He just started collecting statistics on that, and I looked at them with him, but it was like 3 weeks worth of data, which didn't, we need more data for it to mean anything.
Some of the input from the roads committee is that we've also talked about putting maps up, all the work we're doing, to inform residents of where we're going, when we actually at one point, here, but I think equally as a good spot is the website.
okay.
Yeah, I think, so as an example, we have a framework that we're working on for Natural Features Committee, which has a bunch of stuff, and we're vetting it. In the current website structure, which is pretty basic, it can't really accommodate what we need exactly. But if they're gonna if they're gonna revamp the website a little bit, I'm gonna send them the structure that I wanna use to see if they can then expand with the behind the scenes infrastructure. So I would say that if you said, I wanna do these maps with this kind of thing in them, they, then they get structure for what they need.
We got a bunch of maps.
Right?
Okay. That would, that'll really help the residents be informed of what sections of the road, where we're working, what can get done.
Yeah, we have it documented on what the maintenance history has been, pretty telling.
Yeah.
We've been doing it recently, but then after that, it's like 15
Yeah.
years.
I think it'd be cool if we had a whole road section on there.
Yeah.
Just because people are so interested in it, that you could direct them right to the road section to look at when they call. Because I remember Kingsley saying, the majority of the complaints we got, radio calls were the roads.
Yeah.
Is that still true?
Well, they are at the moment.
Oh, right.
That's not perfect. So, I've had a couple of people that,
Not public roads.
yeah, no, I'm sorry. Well, I have a couple of, John Westman would like to know that, like us to know that Chamberlain is horrible and he would like that fixed.
Next year, it's on the plan.
Yeah.
See, the map is working.
See, so that's it.
You can just see it, you really have to say anything.
So, yeah, any other things? Sri, Shelley, Joe? Okay, so, that RFP for renovation. So, there's not a whole lot on it. Obviously, we sent out the other RFP. The deadline for the site visit is the 28th, submission the 4th of September. We have posted in the same places as we did for the last time. So that other, so basically it was the website, this paper, board, Facebook, and one of that one website that Ted set us up with. So we got some good, it was weird, we got some people very interested right about the same time we were changing the plan. So hopefully we had someone come today, right? So, to do the walkthrough, and so that's pretty much it. And then I might as well do this at the same time. So on Friday, Rick and I'll be here, and then a person who look at your front of those windows will tear off part of the siding on the outside Friday. So we should have more info about what's going on shortly, hopefully. So.
Can I ask a question about this?
Yeah.
I don't know if I don't know. The number of copies, 8 hard copies and 1 PDF format. That doesn't make any sense. Number of copies, 8 hard copies and 1 PDF format. PDF is an electronic format.
That's a hard copy.
I know what a hard copy is, but what's a PDF copy? If they're all hard, there's no PDF, it's just a document.
No, they wanted paper and electronic.
It does not say that. It says everything has to be submitted in person or via regular email, or regular mail. So it can't be a PDF and be in person.
Yeah, it's usually on a phone.
Oh, okay, so we can't email it.
You can,
Depends on how big it is.
It's legitimate.
It's gonna be
I
hard.
just don't know why we have to do 8 physical copies. Why they can't just email it, I don't know.
Well, I think, again, so I'm in the library, I barely remember, but there was like a copy for right on the board, and so you open the bid and then talk about it with everybody have their own paper copy. Now, we could do it instead, but the last time we had them. give us
I
a
see.
paper
So the paper copies are to submit for our board meeting,
Right.
basically, so we don't have to bear the cost of printing whatever is there.
Right.
Okay, I understand, that makes sense.
copy. So, and the last time, and they were both like not very long, so it is one of those, I mean, to be honest, one of the submissions, most of it was like prior work date performed, and the other one was still only a couple pages, so yeah, at least from what I saw the last time, they're not huge.
Yeah, that's
So,
Okay. Did the RFP ask for, let's see that. Yeah, I was in there somewhere. Did it ask for references?
Did.
yeah.
Did?
Yeah.
Good.
So,
We also asked for photographs of some work.
yeah, photographs, I remember the photos. Okay. All right. set for that, and, sorry, I have to go back to, okay, so, unless there's any other questions about that one, E, 2025 election news, here we go.
Donna put this together, but I would just like to pat her on the back. She filed the reimbursement claim, and we finally got the $22,888.76 reimbursement for running our May election. So that gives you some idea of how much one of these things cost. Just us, just our little district, and we'll be running one again in November. This is for the Washington Intermediate School District, WISD, and they're going to ask us for another mill.
So this is in addition to what they are.
In addition.
Because those are up for next year,
It would be,
or whatever, yeah.
I think they're trying to collect it in December, are they not?
But I mean, there are other ones that are.
Oh, yes, that are expiring.
Expiring, so yeah, this is I asked down
This is
to,
an
an additional mill.
What is it called, career and technology?
Yeah, technical education.
Yeah, technical education, but in any case, that's what it's going to be for.
So are you, maybe I could look this up, but I was just curious if you already know. So this is the ISD we already do a millage for the ISD
Two.
pretty
I think
regularly.
there's
Okay,
at least
so
two.
this is replacing one, is one
No,
expiring?
no.
So now it's gonna be a third.
This is
Yeah.
So the way that I do the tax bills, I don't break out the individual millages for everything. So like parks, there's 3 park millages, but on your bill, it only shows as 1. Because I consolidate. WISD is the same way.
Yeah. I was just hoping one of them was ending and
Do
then
you have any
just
idea what
wrapping
they're-
wrapping it back into there.
They're going to be asking for renewals
Next year.
next year. This is a new
Sorry.
millage, so another mill on top of
So
it.
the only thing on the ballot is going to be the
Correct.
WISD.
This
Just
is
them.
So much
So we'll have to pay, but we'll have to do work.
And it's for the
Okay,
entire.
so
Clerk.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
we
it's
not
said
this
that
option.
last over a million.
Yeah, this is the one where the clerk, yeah, kind of small, they don't do it. We're doing it. Okay, so,
Election, huh?
and then,
Which, whatever.
okay. All right, so, correspondence is in here. I wanted to point out one thing, so it's just kind of a, so some of the attorney bills from Fahey. So for the ZBA, I questioned a ZBA bill, and Matt had responded that this is just kind of more informational, that he's trying to set up Claire to do the ZBAs instead of him. So just, that's why he's bringing her.
You should do it on their time.
So, yes, I did. So there's one bill, like, that I actually approved for 2 of them, because it was the, I guess the last CBA one. But that's the last one, this is the only one we've approved, well, I've said, okay, for 2 people showing up here, because of, he's saying, okay, this is the training meeting, the training thing. So, yes, I will be not saying yes to the next one if he does it again. I just thought I'd let you know. So the plan, ultimately our plan hopefully is to have Claire or anyone, they wouldn't have to show up here because the drive time is still kind of awful paying for that. So, but that's just the update for that. Other correspondence. So the next meeting I'll have some of the emails and things about the private roads that I've gotten, but they're all kind of new. And you've seen some of them anyway, because they're copying everybody. But. Any other correspondence stuff? Okay. Call the public. Okay, Peter. All right. Or concerns.
Yes, I've been waiting for this for a while. I've talked to several residents over the years. John, I wanted to talk about your comment in the last meeting. Fundamentally, and I guess I'd like to know if any other board members where they sit on this, work product was impugned at our last meeting based on where the perceived individuals lived as to what their contributions were.
That's not correct.
You impugned the work product saying they don't even live here.
No, I did not.
That was certainly intention. Well, I opened that up to the floor here. What did everybody else hear?
So,
There's a recording of the meeting if you want to listen to it.
and, so well, that's why I responded, and apparently, so I was, since we're already talking about this, so first I was gonna apologize to John because I heard something that he told me he did not say. Okay, so, but I did hear that. Now, that doesn't mean it happened, I mean, to be honest, right? But, I guess for my only comment, the only thing I actually wanted to say was, I think like, and it's not just, it wasn't about last week, and it's not directed at anyone in particular, but when we have, I guess I would ask that when we have comments or concerns about employees or about contractors, that we don't, unless it's like absolutely necessary, we do it, you know, come to me, come to Tony or John or whoever, you know, the person's about,
Well, fill me in.
instead of in here.
Why was where a person lives? Why did they even come up in the comments?
It was a poor choice of words. What I was talking about is that the language in the document was giving the authority of an unelected person who's not held accountable to the voters to enforce onto our citizens. We don't have the authority on this body to hire or fire the police chief or the fire chief. And that's what I was talking about.
And that's the fire chief giving us indications on that. I find that weak. I think our code of ethics is directed at this issue.
What I said was about the fire chief, and it was misconstrued, and the only person that asked a clarifying question was Shelley. I can't be held accountable for how you interpret what I said. I prepared my remarks very carefully. I apologize for the passionate way that I expressed myself, but I don't apologize for any of the content of what I said.
Any other comments?
Well, I did see, this is why when okay, so I understood what John meant, not at the time. John, because basically what I gathered was that this whole, you know, having the fire chief or the fire department okay things is what John was talking about. Because we don't.
Listen to his advice, but we should not delegate our authority into him.
Okay,
So
so,
why don't you say that and have to bring up the fact, question where people live, in the general
I
context?
made a poor choice of words.
Yeah, so the issue for me was that you made the poor choice of words directly after you talked about Sri. Like it was one sentence after another.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you're aware because you're not on Facebook, but Sri is the focus of a lot of negative and racist attention on Facebook. And so there are times when Sri lives in this building and she doesn't feel safe. So when you say we shouldn't be listening to someone who doesn't live here, right after you talk about Sri, that's why you got that sort of vitriol from me, because it's not safe for her. And so, and we can't create this us versus them situation where they're not experts because they don't live here idea, which is very much permeated on the internet. And that's why I jumped so hard on that, because I was protecting, you know, her ability to do her work here safely.
We try, and when I say we, I mean the other ladies in the office, we try never to have Sri here by herself.
And yet it happens almost daily.
Are you here nearly every day? Because,
I'm sorry, Mike, if I may.
well, yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I mean, we're just,
I feel a little on the spotlight.
yeah.
I'm not comfortable with that spotlight on me, although I do appreciate the sentiment why it's brought up. When I know the compliment said it doesn't feel unsafe. I'm not worried about you know, anything bad or anything. It's just a feeling of discomfort. But it's
I
not that
understand.
I'm not concerned of anything else. It's just a feeling of discomfort.
I
So,
am.
Yeah.
Yes.
I am concerned about your physical safety. And things like this just float, they just throw gas on the fire. And that's my personal feelings, Ree.
I appreciate that, but yeah, I am here most of the time because I come with a list of things I want to do at work. I don't get to any of them because it's just constant, revolving door of phone calls or emails or people coming in. So I kind of like that 1.5 hour at the end of the day where I can just focus and get things done. But I think what I've been doing to avoid that or scale back is that I'm trying to work a little bit from home sometimes when I have to do packets or something so that I get some focus time. And I'm also taking files home. But it also sometimes helps to be here because I have access to the printer, I have access to the server, it's more quicker and, more efficient. But
We may have to come up with some plan then when you're here but inaccessible to the public or phone calls or anything. We may have to do that because I am not comfortable with you being here by yourself, period.
Yeah, the reality is that as a policy, one person in a building alone is not secure or safe. It doesn't matter which one person it is. This shouldn't be a conversation about 3. This should be a conversation about what is our policy with respect to how we use this building and who's here.
Exactly.
So in part, just to kind of butt in, sorry. Tony and I have been talking about that with other things involving Chuck is helping with, want to look at cameras and things like that. And George has actually volunteered to escort anyone who needs it. So we could, if she needs to be here, call George, I could stay, something like that.
Yeah,
So,
we're close also.
Yeah, but I also think working from home is great too, because you
Yeah,
can
I think
isolate
we'll-
yourself from.
but yeah, and it's not really about, John's right, it's not just about Sheree, sometimes Linda's here, or something,
it's not.
so.
I don't like the spotlight. Sherry,
In
everybody should be
general,
here by themselves.
I mean, some of the stuff we've been dealing with, there's been a lot of angst. And anytime you're looking at regulations or anything like that, you're gonna have people that are unhappy about it. And it's palpable sometimes.
Yes.
And the thing is, for all of us, we really need to take a breath and think about how you're reacting and how you're coming across. And for the most part, a lot of times we have civil discussion in here where Tony doesn't have to say gentlemen. Right. But sometimes we get caught up in our emotions and we feel strongly about stuff, but we have to remember that everything that we say and how we say it can be taken different. And we need to be a lot more civil. Bottom line is, hey, we have disagreements. We all respect each other for having those disagreements. We walk out of here at the end of the day and we can still talk. It's not, I gotta say, after being involved with some other governments, that's not always the case.
Right. So, and again, John, I thought you said the same thing Shelley said, so I apologize.
Well,
Oh,
enough to say.
what else?
I want to bring up. I've been in contact with the compensation committee, John, and they have told me that they were unable to deliberate when you were in attendance.
I wasn't in attendance.
These several of the meetings, they tried to do it. When you were there, they told us that, told me, talked over them the entire time such that they couldn't have these meetings.
I came to the compensation commission meetings by invitation, and I did not come when I was not invited. Most of the meetings were without me present.
But when you were there, is what the statements they made to me, are they accurate? They said they couldn't talk. They said when they were trying to deliberate, you would talk over them without me.
So so first I can say, yes, John was not in all of them because some was just me. And so I did not see John talking over them. They did not run the meeting, and it's not my meeting to run, right? They did not run the meeting like the way we do, but they kept kind of asking us questions, and it was not quite as clear cut as, part of the problem, I think, from them, I mean, to be brutally honest, is it's too bad, it's a public meeting. So if John wanted to be there every day, or I wanted to be there every day, it's not like, so some of it was basically, we want to talk about you when you're not in here, and that was inappropriate.
I'm not saying that. I
So,
asked that specific question. I mean, there's a call for the public, there's a call to the public, and there's
Right.
deliberations.
Right.
And the board should be able to deliberate without
Right.
the audience talking over stuff. And I got an affirming to that question, which I'm bothered. Now, is it inaccurate? But
I think it's a little more like, they weren't always, they were not quite, they just didn't run it the same way we run meetings. I mean, some of the other places that Jeff and I have been to are not run this way either. Like, it's just the whole format, it was just, so, I did not actually see anything that would cause me concern about, like, any of that. I mean, to be honest, like, if he butted in, I butted in, because some of the stuff, but it was weird, it was a weird, like, you're in here and you're part of, it was very strange. Not really treat us like members of the public. So it was.
I didn't go over this information. I asked, because it's odd that when I got questioned, because I was questioning them why they weren't all there. There was 3 of them and 1 of them left. And that's when I said, well, why? And then eventually, this is the feedback that I got.
Right. Well, I personally didn't see it, and I know Tony talked to them separate for me, so.
I'm not sure that this conversation is appropriate for a public meeting.
Yeah. It's
Right.
hearsay for one thing.
I just, and I think that maybe if this is an issue, we need to have some folks sit down together without violating the Open Meeting Act and get this aired out.
Right. It's almost like so when, we started the Natural Features Committee, Kay showed up with, here's your bylaws, I took them from wherever, Planning Commission probably, and they didn't have that. They don't have any of that. And so we're going to give it to them next time. So when they meet next time.
I'm conveying information that.
Yeah, no,
Citizens come to me and have been concerned
Brent,
about.
I'm not criticizing you at
No,
all.
no, it's just.
I'm just saying that I think that maybe this needs to be discussed, not on tape. I do. Just like I've made comments about attorneys on tape that I shouldn't have.
Fair enough. I'm just collecting information here.
And that's
obviously
good.
sense.
Yeah, and I'm not criticizing you. I'm just saying I think we need to step down, and I think we need to talk about this offline, maybe is the
Fair
word.
enough. So, okay.
I move to adjourn if we have nothing else.
Okay, and second for that. All right, all in favor?
Aye.